This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
The hashtag Enough is Enough protest and the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement exemplify the power of civic action in Nigeria. They remind us that when citizens unite for a common cause, significant societal change is possible. It's been 11 years since the Chibok girls were abducted. 11 years of silence, pain, and unanswered questions for the families and communities still waiting. While some girls have returned, many remain missing, their lives frozen in time, and movements like the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls have shown the world what collective voice can achieve. But the fight is far from over. We must not forget, and we must keep on, putting it at the front burner. We must not move on until we find every single girl, that has gone missing. So joining me to shed more light is the Executive Director of Enough is Enough Nigeria, as I said earlier, Adamolekun Opeyemi. She's joined me via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Are you there?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm here and I can hear you. But network.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Fabulous.
Awesome. Okay, so this is one very, very sad, pain point for a lot of Nigerians, right? Because on the 13th of April 2010, hundreds of young Nigerians, including professionals, artists, students, participated in a peaceful march to the Lagos State Governor's office in Alausa, organized under the aegis of the Enough is Enough Nigeria. And the protest was aimed to demand greater accountability, transparency from the government. And we had notable figures. There was Banky W, LD, South Sultan, Timi Dakolo, Rita Dominic, Ali Baba. All of them lent their voices to the cause, highlighting the widespread discontent among the populace. Now, despite the absence of the governor and the initial attempt by the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Yomi Ikuforuji, to address the crowd, the protesters remained steadfast in their demand for change. And of course, the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement, April 2014, where 276 girls, schoolgirls from Chibok community, they were abducted by Boko Haram insurgents. And that also sparked a global outrage. We saw so many global figures lending their voice to the movement. And how far have we gone, right? Because again, this reality that somebody was abducted until today, 11 years later, we haven't heard anything. It seems like, we are all silent and, nobody's talking. How far have we gone in truly trying to bring back those girls, every single one of them that was abducted in 2014?
Thank you very much. I had to switch off my video because the network, I'm actually in Yola.
Okay.
The Bring Back Our Girls Lagos family came to the American University, Nigeria in Yola, because it has the largest group of the Chibok girls anywhere in the world. Now, there are more Chibok girls outside of the university, but this is the largest concentration. And one of the things the movement has done over the last 2 years is, while our initial focus was talking to government and saying, bring back the girls. We felt that as a citizen-led movement, we're not a formal organization, we're just individual active citizens, that we would leave the welfare of the girls for those who are better structured to support them. So child psychologists, educational institutions. So the movement didn't do as much over the years in terms of speaking about the individual girls per se. It was more to government and bring back the girls. So we started probably in about the 9th year, which is 2 years ago. And then last year, the movement in partnership with Enough is Enough decided to publish a document for those who even still don't believe that the abduction happened, that would try to document as much as possible from publicly available resources, the stories, the journeys, the successes of the girls as best as we could. And we published a document called Where Are They Now? And we have stories from a Chibok girl that's a PhD student in Stanford to those who are still at AUN going through university and at different levels as they've progressed. So that's, I mean, you're quite right. I mean, from the height of the movement when President Jonathan was in power till he left in 2015, through the early years of the Buhari administration, where they kept talking about the fact that they are committed to bring back the girls. There's a famous picture of President Buhari with the child of one of the girls, Amina, and Keki, Ali, to now, where both Mrs. Tinubu, who is technically a member of the Bring Back Her Girls Lagos family, because we engaged her, actually, no, she's not a member. But we just engaged her. Sorry, my apologies. She's not a member. We just engaged her while she was a senator representing Lagos State. And we had a courtesy call to our office to basically engage her as a lawmaker. To the president, who I'm not quite sure, to be honest, in his 2 years, if I've heard him say anything about the Chibok girls, that's strong. And just to a general environment in the country of insecurity. You were just talking about the plateau and protests being planned. There were a bombing in Borno, I think 2 days ago or so. So there's a larger general insecurity. And so the Chibok girls, which was very jarring at the time that it happened 11 years ago, there have been almost 20 student abductions since then. So just to your point, there's just been a lot that has happened that has dimmed the noise on the Chibok girls. But the Bring Back Our Girls movement is still very much on advocating for their rescue, their release, and government's commitment to rehabilitating them.
So I was just looking through the presentation or the reports. That was very detailed report, by the way, that Enough is Enough did around the updates on all the young girls. You know, it's would I say it's a bittersweet experience for me, you know, just watching.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
reading the reports, you know, how, you know, some are doing well. But let us even focus on the girls that are still in captivity, right? Do we get to that point where we truly find closure around these girls that are still missing? And I believe there are about 90 of them.
One of the things that we've done this trip to Yola is also just to get some clarity on the numbers. Because over the years, the government has never released a formal list. So when 82 were negotiated and released, there was a list. When the 21 were negotiated and released, there was a list. But there was never a comprehensive list of the 276. So for the 90 that were still missing, one of the exercises we've done over the last 2 days is having the students here with the belief that they will know their classmates better than anybody. Help us work through the list that we have with the Muritala Muhammad Foundation. And we also have a copy of the WAEC enrollment, basically people that registered for WAEC on that fateful day, or that period rather, WAEC in April 2014, so that we can, in a sense, triangulate the data to find as accurate a list as we could possibly find. We made some progress, but there are still a few discrepancies. Again, 11 years is a long time to say, do you remember your seat number for WAEC, so you know who was sitting around you, just to confirm the numbers that we have. Another challenge to that, which is a footnote on this sheet, is the fact that some of the girls came back and said they saw some of their sisters die while they were in Sambisa. But the federal government has prevented them from talking about it. So even though we were given names, we didn't publish them because so they will still be in a sense on the list of the missing, even though they're not coming back, unfortunately. And so that's also one of the things that we're advocating with the federal government, that they need to provide closure. If an army officer is on the field and sees another army officer fall, you will take the word of the army officer that my colleague died on the battlefront. How are you not taking the word of 20-something-year-old women who say they saw their sister die and they buried their sister? And so that's a big thing as well, because if you, just to your point, if we remove those ones as well from the numbers of the missing, the numbers will shrink significantly as well.
Yeah, because it's a painful thing. I'm a mother, right? And I know that however painful it might be, right, it would be best for me to find out, okay, maybe my child is no more and I have buried the child, and you just move on. Of course you will continue to grieve, because I mean sometimes it's tough for you to stop grieving, because you will continue to remember, and it's going to be painful, but it's still a better pain to manage, right?
Yeah.
Than leaving it open-ended,
Yeah,
where you're
indeed.
not even sure. Just sitting down here as a mother, trying to imagine the kinds of things that would be done to that girl, right? It's a lot more, I don't know how to explain it. It's a lot more, the pain is a lot more heavier.
Traumatic.
It's more traumatic. Yeah. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a lot more traumatic, I would, at that point, because you just start to think about all the unimaginable things. And when you hear certain kind of stories and what comes out on social media, that these are the things that truly happen when they're in that custody. I mean, we've heard stories of when people are kidnapped and how, they do all sorts of things to them, right? Not to talk of, the ones that, it's almost like nobody's coming to rescue you. So it's a painful thing. So how do we demand? Exactly. How do we demand this, would I call it this closure, from the government? Because in the end, it's still in their power to come out and tell us to say, okay, this is what is happening based on intelligence report. I mean, we have seen that the government is not hard for them to find whoever they want to find, right? So is it that they are just not interested in the remaining of these girls that have been abducted, or they are just choosing to stay docile about the situation?
I think, to your point, and there's a Yoruba proverb that says, Omoku osonjo mosonulo. And it just simply means that to say my child is dead is better than to say my child is missing. And that's just to your point, because missing gives you lack of closure. You're forever hoping something will happen. Somebody will walk in one day, they will negotiate. Now, the season of negotiating and the releases, the government, in a sense, almost said that season, quote unquote, has passed. But I think we can't bring that back on the table, especially in the voices of the girls. One of the things as well that the movement is trying to do is kind of work with the girls or ladies now so that they are more the advocates for their sisters and themselves, rather than a group of concerned citizens, if I want to use that word. And we believe that if the advocacy is coming from them and in a way that allows them to share their story, share what they've been through, and as you said, be able to say that, look, we can only imagine what our sisters are going through, and then we're asking you to do this. So part of what we are gifting to them is this process of reconciliation of data, so that even when they take it on, they are able to say categorically that, look, these are the 50 of our sisters that we're asking about. At the ceremony that was had at the American University earlier today, that was really the thrust of it for the girls, was to say that we have not lost hope, that we made it alive and we're still standing, and we believe that our sisters too will join us one day. So AUN is significant just because it's, as I said, the largest grouping of them. There are quite a lot more of them who are doing different things in different places. And that's what we are trying to help them do, so that the advocacy is a bit stronger from them. We said the Chibok girls are...
Okay. I think we lost her audio. But just
I'm
to,
back. Can you hear
okay,
me
you're
now?
back. Go ahead, please. You said the Chibok girls. You were going to say
Can you
something
hear
about it.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Are you back?
Yes, I am. All right. So
Okay.
I just say that it just will be strong that Chibok girls were a marker for the time that it happened. But so many others have happened before, and people do get fatigued. But I think in advocacy, in the voice of a survivor carries a lot of power and a lot of weight.
Absolutely. I was just going to say to this last point you just made. The truth is, right, before the Chibok girls happened, it was happening, but it was happening in trickles, right? Chibok girls was the very first bold move that this insurgent, made, going and abducting that many number of children. The brazen audacity for me is what I don't get till tomorrow, because I still don't understand how, people are able to perpetrate some of this crime, in a country where we're supposed to be, having, a very well grounded, would I call it, law enforcement agencies, right? I don't know till tomorrow. I still cannot wrap my head around it. And every single time I talk about insecurity, I always come back to the late Sani Abacha's quote that said, if insurgency or insecurity lasts, beyond 24 hours, it means that the government has a hand in it, And that's the only thing that can help me justify, the madness that is going on when it comes to how people are just able to walk into different communities, different schools, and just take lives without questioning, right? Look at what is going on in the, what's it called, in Benue State. Look at what is going on in Plateau State. Like, literally, right? Insecurity is just taking a free reign in Nigeria, and Chibok girls was significant because that was the first time we would hear, there were pockets, there were even some young boys who that were abducted. There were pockets of those things. But it was the first time they had that brazen audacity to go and abduct so many people all at a time. But let me say that, Enough is Enough, of course, was founded in the wake of the 2010 protests, right? Enough is Enough has been very instrumental in promoting civic participation and holding the government accountable. And your organization has consistently worked to amplify citizens' voices, emphasizing the importance of active engagement in the, of course, democratic processes. How can we, as citizens, actually even demand, like literally, let us declare, I've said it, that we need to declare war against insecurity and insurgency in this country. How can we start to intentionally do that as citizens?
I think there are a number of things, and it's interesting you led with a story about the march on the platoon, and because we talk about engagements, so reach out to your lawmakers, write letters, make presentations, document in communities that are constantly being assaulted. But what we see is that it passes. So something happens, there's anger, there's a immediate burst of energy and annoyance, and then we get on with life, and government is able to run or hide in the lack of consistency in being held accountable. I love the way you framed it, that we've seen government rescue people, we've seen government take control, but it's almost as if they choose who is worthy of security or what issue is worthy of intervention. And until all of us realize that insecurity in one part of the country is a recipe to your part of the country, because it will seep through, because all it says is that there's lawlessness. And so, to your point, what can we do? I think we just need to be a bit more consistent and be clear. It's heavy work. It's heavy work in a sense, quite sense, it's traumatic work. But how can we help? And what you are doing on the show is fantastic. It's letting people be reminded that we're all connected in this thing. What you're seeing just today is what might happen in Ibadan, Lagos, or Enugu tomorrow. So it's a constant awareness and raising the issues, not just by people that are considered activists like me, but people in media amplifying the issues, people in the religious space using their platforms, as they call their bully pulpits, to use their platforms to talk about these issues, to mobilize around these issues consistently. Not just we say it once because an incident happened. and then we go back to regular programming the day after. And that really is it, because as with any set of human beings or kind of order of events, it's people get away with things when there are no consequences. And the Nigerian government has continued to get away with providing this environment of insecurity because it's not costing them anything. And we must make it cost them something so they can pay attention.
On that note, let's go on a short break, right? Yeah.
But your side was very heavy.
It's actually a very heavy conversation to have, honestly. It's sad. I don't know how sometimes, I don't know how our leaders sleep. I don't know how they are able to sleep because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough conversation to have. But let's go on a short break. When we come back from that break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with me.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having a discussion why civic action matters. And of course, referencing the 2010s Enough is Enough protest to the 2014's hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone lines are also now open. The numbers to call are 07025007749 or 07014242420. It would be nice for us to hear what your thoughts are, especially the fact that we still have some of these girls that were abducted 11 years ago still missing. It would be nice for us to hear your thoughts. You can also be a part of the conversation. Send us an add me to WhatsApp. We would add you on the video conversation. Now, I still have with me Yemi Adamolekun. She's the Executive Director of Enough is Enough Nigeria. And she's joining us all the way from Yola State today via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me. Yemi, let me just deviate a little bit. How do you cope with some of these conversations? Because, you know, I get overwhelmed, you know, when things like this happen and it seems like you're helpless. You don't really even know what to do. It's like, you know, we're shouting at the top of our voices and it seems like we're just shouting and nobody's hearing. So how are you able to continue to manage your sanity amidst all of this?
Well, it can be overwhelming, you're right. But it's also one also gets encouraged when one sees the outcomes of the shouting. I mean, 219 odd girls went into Sabisa, 21 were negotiated for, then 82, and I think about 23 to 25 have come back individually since. So seeing some actions that have been taken and the results that we did get some of the girls back, it is encouraging. Is it sad that 11 years later we have some 60, 70 odd ones still out? Yeah, it is. But the flip side of it is to do nothing. And I'm not wired not to do anything. But I understand how people can get overwhelmed and would rather pretend that As long as they are fine, they don't need to worry about what's happening in society. But we need a few more people who, even if you are fine, that you do choose to leverage your resources, your voice, your platform, your network to shine lights on issues, to speak in places, to convene meetings, to talk to people behind closed doors, to get things moving. Because sometimes you find out people just haven't connected the dots or don't understand. And then when all else fails, be willing to put boots on ground and let those who we've elected to protect us know that this is not good enough and we demand better.
Absolutely. So I saw a report. I'm trying to pull it out. I saw it in passing sometime last week where a man was said to be the supplier of, would I call it drinks to Boko Haram, right? He supplies drinks and all of that. So to that point, I want to pose a question to you, Yemi. Do you believe that the government is sincere in the fight against insurgency in Nigeria and insecurity? Given that, you know, they always say this phrase, follow the money, they can trace, like you can literally, you can follow food, you can follow, what's it called, welfare. Yes, let's just group all of them in welfare. And you can also follow the money to be able to then get to these people that are perpetuating this evil. And yet we are still not seeing us, you know, strongly winning against these insurgents. So in your 11 years or more that you have worked actively in trying to push for better governance, push for better security in the country, do you see the honesty in the drive to end insecurity in Nigeria from the government side?
No, not from Jonathan, not from Buhari, and certainly not from Tinubu. I mean, you quoted Abacha and his quote about what happens with insurgents. There's what is called the war economy. That there's money to be made where there's conflict, or the conflict economy. There's money to be made wherever there's conflict. In as much as people's lives are being upended, people are making money. And it's not small amounts of money, it's ridiculous amounts of money. Everything from arms, purchasing arms, to selling arms to the bandits, to also humanitarian side of it. IDP camps is a huge, I mean, we've seen so many stories of scams at IDP camps, because the more people you can keep in a camp, the more you can procure rice, beans, whatever it is that people will need to eat, or how do you keep people in a camp? And so we've seen all of that. And in a country also where our finances are quite opaque, it's a very easy way to siphon money. So I'm again back to the point. Until we decide that we want to engage and ensure that there are consequences to this lack of response by those who we've elected, or even if we didn't vote for them, who are in authority to represent us, then unfortunately, this is what we'll continue to have.
So what must we do? The part of the government, right? Because I know that, yes, they are supposed to prioritize safe return of every missing person, including the Chibok girls, right? What must they do as government? Then I'll move on to civil society and I'll move on to citizens. What do you think we need to actively start to do?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you repeat that?
I was saying that, to your point, right? You know, that you feel like you don't have faith in the question that I posed, if they are actually working towards, you know, ending insecurity, that you don't see that happening because you don't, you know, some people are benefiting, you know, from that transaction, right? I'm saying now, what must we all do? We'll start from the government. What do you think the government should do intentionally if they want to start to intentionally show us that they are fighting, and it's not just fighting on paper, that they are actually, you know, they are focused on coming back victorious and ending insecurity in Nigeria? What do you think the government would actively do that would give us a pointer or a confidence that, yes, they are working?
And I'll end with this because the connection has gotten really bad. The topic for today was why civic action matters. 2010 enough is enough protests to 2014 bring back our girls. The consistency in both protests is a failure of government. In 2010, we were saying enough is enough as young people, and we were tired and we wanted government to pay attention. In 2014, citizens were also telling government to bring back our girls because it's the failure of government that allowed the girls to be abducted in the first place. Now, both of them yielded results in different ways in the initial moments of those movements. But what then is missing is the consistency in the fact that we translate protest and civic action that's vocal and loud into daily civic action of small groups of citizens engaging their senator, engaging their House of Rep members, and then voting properly, voting people that are able to deliver not because of either what they're giving or cash, but people who actually mean well for the citizens. But this takes engagement. This takes continued education, continued awareness, continued connecting the dots. For any government that wants to show that they're serious, communication is key. I haven't seen a statement from the federal government on this commemoration day, for example. Insecurity, we get a statement when something happens, and then they say, oh, we're on it. We will bring the perpetrators. What's that famous line? Bring the perpetrators to...
Bring the perpetrators to book. Oh, wow, we're losing Yemi Adamolekun. Okay, she's far away in Yola, so please pardon her network. That's what we get for technology. Yeah. That's all we always hear from government. We'll bring the perpetrators to book. The book, we never ever see the book coming. But yes, I would say that just to add to what she was saying to the government, right? They have to prioritize safe return of everyone that is missing in this country. And as she rightly said about communication, you have to be intentional about providing clear and consistent updates. You must strengthen security systems to prevent future abduction. Now, you see something around this communication thing, right? I feel like even within the government camp, I don't think they remembered that today was supposed to be a day to commemorate what's it called, the Bring Back Our Girls movement, right? I don't see that. And that is because, again, we lack a lot of empathy when it comes to leadership in our country. So it would be nice if, you know, we start to have more empathetic leaders, you know, around in Nigeria, because it will be so easy for us to be able to now have a better understanding as to what is going on and what the steps they are being taken actively to help heal or help take us out of this, this insecurity. I would say to the civil society and also us, our constituency, the media, we have to continuously tell these stories. We can't keep the stories dead. We must keep them at the front burner. We must keep the spotlight on, you know, and we must keep shouting about their absence, and we must continue to demand transparency, and we must continue to demand action. You see, if we don't do that, if the media is quiet about it, we're not talking about it, then you're also helping to, to ensure that people can just do evil things and get away with it in this country. We need to start to intentionally share these stories, shout it out loud, and let them continue to hear that these girls are still missing, right? All the other people that have been abducted are still missing. There's still a huge, fear around insecurity in this country, kidnapping, herdsmen, conflict, you know, farmer herdsmen clashes. All of those things are things that we need to keep on shouting about in this country. And I'll say to every Nigerian, we have to be intentional about raising our voices, right? Let us be intentional, share their names, you know, use your platform. You see, your platform might be little. I mean, we don't have a lot of people here watching, but our little corner, we're able to just contribute our own quota, and that's all we need, right? If it's on your WhatsApp status, you have maybe 100 people or 50 people view it or whatever, you have contributed your quota. But everybody must raise their voice and share, right? This thing is still going on. People are being killed in Jos, so people are being killed in Benue State, so people are being killed in Uromi. Like, literally, let us be intentional about using our platform to continue to put and amplify some of the challenges that we are faced with, so that people would see, and a lot of people will start to intentionally, you know, speak up against it. That way, those in power would then take responsibility. We must also, to the world, right, because you see, the world has to be intentional about continuously standing with us. I've heard this argument that when the international community came and they wanted to help us with the Chibok situation, it was based on the intelligence gathering that they got, that they also said, you know what, we'll pack our load and we'll go. But you cannot abandon us, right? You cannot also take away the fact that some people want to continue to benefit from this insecurity. So that does not mean that because they are, you can see that there's no willingness from, maybe our leaders to end insecurity or insurgency in Nigeria. It will not mean that you should now pack your load and go. No, we need your help in the international communities. I would say that 15 years after the Enough is Enough protest, the issues that we protested against, is it poor governance, insecurity, lack of accountability? They are still very much with us, sadly. Look at all the things that we shouted about in, the toll gate, the NSAS protest. It's still very much with us. It's still very much with us. There's poor governance, there's insecurity, there's lack of accountability. I mean, it's so, and you know the funny thing now, it's even worse off than when we started shouting. Do you understand? Like, it is the audacity for me, the brazenness of how our leaders just know, these ones cannot do anything. So, you know, before they would do, but they were afraid, they were scared, they would hide. But now, it's in your face. Let me see what you can do about it. Nothing. You can't do anything about it. So those issues are still very much with us. The hashtag Bring Back Our Girls also showed the strength of collective voice, right? But also how much work remains. Because you see, in all of the shouting that happened, you know, we still realize that there's still a lot more to be done. So we must keep demanding, right, the return of the remaining Chibok girls. Some would say 90. We don't know how many. Only God knows how many are the true numbers of the girls that are missing. But we cannot forget. And it's not just the Chibok girls. Like, I have a long list in my head. It's just that it's not coming to me now. There were some boys that were abducted. Like, it was just back to back at some point, going to schools and just packing them up, right? These are human beings, human lives that are in custody against their will. They are under hostage, right? We must not forget them. We must continue, you know, to shout it out. We must continue to demand that the government does what needs to be done, right, to end insecurity in this country. And we must continue to say that enough is enough, right? Enough is still enough. It's very important. Now, if you want to go and learn more about, you know, what Enough is doing, I think you should follow them on social media. Go, and this partnership is not paid for. But we understand the importance of citizens' activism. We understand the importance that if citizens become awakened, right? It's not just be woke. You, like, literally your spirit is awakened to how we can become, you know, we can take back our rightful place, which is the most powerful seat of governance, is the office of the citizens. If we understand that, we will change a lot of things in this country. And that was why this year we intentionally partnered with Enough is Enough, so that we will continue to bring this consciousness to the minds of people to understand that until you understand your power and you start to intentionally talk about some of the things that worry us as a country, we might never see an end to some of the challenges that we cry about. So please go on Enough is Enough all across their social media handle, follow them, and be intentional about engaging your lawmakers, engaging those that govern us. We have to learn how to engage these people, and we have to actively demand for accountability. Thank you so much for watching. Before I go, do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop your comment, and most importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed our quote for today, here it is again. We gather not only to honor the stolen daughters of Chibok, but to hold the world accountable for allowing impunity to thrive while generations of girls are silenced by violence. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population. and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Hey guys, it's Oluchi for Ways Breakfast. Thanks for always tuning in. Our research has shown that you're probably not subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you never miss out on our latest content and stay in the loop with all things Ways. If the channel grows, it means more great content for you guys. So hit that subscribe button now.